Welcome, everyone. My name is Kaya, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Atera. Welcome to today's webinar. Today, we're going to be going over the RMM aspect of Atera. So the agenda for today is we're going to go over how we install an agent, the information we're going to be pulling from the device. Later on, we're going to go over thresholds and alerts and how you can monitor the different devices that you have within Atera. After that, we're going to follow up with IT automations. Basically, all the manual tasks that you can do manually, we want to automate that through Atera, hopefully save you some time. After that, we're going to continue with reports and we're going to have an open Q&A session. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the Q&A section and we'll get to that at the end of the webinar. So before we get started, I'll quickly say that we do have additional webinars as well. We have in-depth webinars. You can find all this on our event page on the Atera website. We also have a very extensive knowledge base. So any action that you're looking to do, feel free to just write in how to install an agent and you're going to find answers there. We have a blog and a community as well. And most importantly, we have a live chat 24/7. Our support engineers are highly knowledgeable and they're happy to assist with any technical question you may have. So let's jump into the demo. This is the Atera dashboard. This is where you have an overview of what's going on within your organization. I will mention that I'm going to be demoing on the MSP platform. So we have an MSP platform and we have an IT department platform. They are very similar. The IT department platform is better fitted for IT department needs, of course, and the MSP has some different features such as billing and so on. If you are an ITD, no worries. Feel free to stay on the webinar. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of information. And as I mentioned, they are very similar at the moment. So the first thing that you would do is either add your customers or sites. Under each site or customer, you would have your contacts, your contracts. If you're an MSP, all the devices. You can also add your different specific folders. You can have a folder for, let's say, for servers or for Linux devices, however it is that you like to work. Assets, tickets, alerts, password attachments, and invoices. As of course, today we are going through RMM, so we're going to be focusing on RMM features. So the first thing that you want to do once you have set up your sites or your customers is to install an agent. We have a native agent for Windows, Mac, and Linux. The Windows agent is available on the first tier, and the Mac and Linux agents are available on the second tier and up. To install an agent, what you want to do is choose your customer or site. You can also choose a specific folder that agent would be assigned to. And then you can either manually download the agent. We also we have a curl command. So if you have a DC environment, we do support GPO. It makes the agent deployment a lot easier. If you have our network discovery add-on and the scanning agent is from a DC, then you can actually push the Atera agent through there as well. And if you have any end users that are working remotely, you can easily just send them the download link and they can go ahead and download the Atera agent to their device. So once we download the Atera agent, let's take a look at our device page. By the way, this new UI has been released yesterday. This is a good time to mention that we do release an updated version of the platform. We're constantly enhancing the platform, so you can see all the new updates right over here. These will be coming out every week, 2-3 weeks. You'll see added information over here. For example, the AI-powered command generator. Don't worry, we'll get to that as well. Integrations, different features that we're adding, you can always stay updated from here. So let's choose a device, this one right over here. So the moment that you download an agent, we're going to be automatically pulling this information, the machine name, work group, availability monitoring. This is by default enabled for servers and for SNMP devices. And by default, of course, it's disabled for PCs. We do want to clear out the noise, but you can always edit that and change that through here. When the device was last seen, last logged on user, IP address, and so on. On the bottom over here, we're going to be pulling the software information, security information, and any custom fields. We have custom fields that you can add for devices, for tickets, for alerts, for many different things if there's anything specific that you want to keep track of. Hardware information, including BIOS information, disk information, and this over here, including BitLocker information. On the top, if you want to remote into the device, you have over here Splashtop, which is included with all tiers. AnyDesk is included with the second tier and up. There are some differences between them. We also have a KB about it. With AnyDesk, you can have concurrent sessions. And if you have your own TeamViewer or Screen Connect subscription, you can go ahead and integrate that within Atera as well. Manage options. We have our service manager, software inventory, event viewer. You have the ability to run a script or command prompt, file transfer, which is available with the second tier and up, and so on. Help desk agents as well. We do have a help desk agent for Windows devices. And if you're using any of our App Center, you can actually deploy Acronis, Bitdefender, ESET Malwarebytes, and Webroot from within Atera. Edit options as well. Monitor devices. So as I mentioned, we have a native agent for Windows, Mac, and Linux. However, if you want to monitor an SNMP device, TCP, HTTP, or a generic device, so anything with an IP address, you can do that via a native Atera agent, and you can add them as well. Create a ticket. So if there were any alerts for this device, you would see that over here, and also if there were any available patches. If we had an available patch, I would be able to manually deploy it through here. However, we do want to automate that. So the way that it works within Atera is that we have 3 different profiles that you can assign per device. First, we're going to take a look at the threshold profile. These are the profiles that are monitoring the device. Once the threshold is met, you will be getting an alert. And IT automation profiles, as I mentioned previously, all the tasks, if it's scripts or patching, software patching, OS patching, you can automate that through Atera. And the last one is configuration policy. So let's start with the threshold profiles. Under admin, we have our thresholds. So the moment that you download an Atera agent, we're going to assign automatically a threshold profile unless you have a different threshold profile assigned on that folder or on that customer or site. We have our presets over here. Let's take a look. For example, server, of course, you can monitor a few more thresholds. And these are just the presets for your convenience. You can play around with these. You can edit them as well. You can change around if you have, maybe the CEO, you want to have a more limited threshold. And for older PCs, you want to have that a little higher, depending on your needs. And actually, one of my favorite things within Atera is the auto healing script. Taking a more proactive approach rather than getting an alert, going into figuring it out, deploying a script, you can actually automate that. So we also have a shared library script, a shared script library. This is community driven. These are scripts that our users are adding. If you do scripting, feel free to share your scripts as well. So let's take a look. Delete temporary files. Let's do this. And then I'll go to my scripts. And let's choose that. Basically what this means, once this threshold is met, this script will automatically run and hopefully it will resolve it before it becomes an issue. You could get notified for a resolved alert as well, so you can set that up through alerts. And you can also add different items as well. So you can get an alert if software is installed or uninstalled from a security aspect, if there's failed login attempts as well. We have custom events, exchange. Of course, you can add to these an auto healing script as well. And one of our new features is a script-based thresholds. So with script-based thresholds, the possibilities are endless. I have a customer that has a script. He has, if BitLocker is disabled, he has an auto healing script that will enable that. He has, there's another customer that he has end users that travel a lot. So there's there's a script-based threshold that is checking if the local time is matching the device time, and if it's not matching, there's an auto healing script for that. So just a few little ideas of what you can do with the script-based thresholds. So the way to assign these threshold profile is either on a customer or site level, or you can assign it on a folder level or on a device level. The local will always override the global. And if you don't do much scripting, don't worry, I also have something for you. So once we have these threshold profiles, we're going to be getting alerts. You can create a ticket from this alert, or if you go to admin and alert settings, you can actually automate ticket creation. So you can also choose for which customers or sites you want to offer this. Maybe you want to offer a higher level of service for some of your customers. You can do that through here. And you can also get push notifications via email. We also have an app, so iOS and Android, and you can get push notifications on those as well if needed. If you choose resolved, you're going to get notifications when an auto healing script has run and it resolved the issue. So I did mention scripting. And as I mentioned previously, we do have a shared script library. If you click twice on clones, you're going to see which scripts are being used the most by our community. So you can get ideas through here. You can also upload a script with an executable. If there's anything that you want to do, you can either run it as system or as current user. And one of our most exciting integrations, and possibly one of the most exciting things happening at the moment, is our integration with OpenAI. So if you're not much of a scripter, of course, you do need to have a basic knowledge in scripting to make sure that it is achieving what you intended it to. But all you need to do is right over here, the prompts, and generate. And within seconds, that will give you a script recommendation. What I really like about this is that you actually have the line right over there that is explaining what the command will do. So it does give you better visibility into that. Okay, so we took a look at threshold profiles and also at our script generator. And the next thing that I want to go through is patch management. So with threshold profiles, you can only have one assigned per device. And with IT automation profiles, you can actually have as many as you would like. So you can have a threshold, an IT automation profile that you apply to all your customers, and then you can have a few that you apply to specific folders. You can really play around with this. This is where you have all your different IT automation profiles. On the bottom, you can exclude patches on a global level. So any patch added here will be excluded from all IT automation profiles. And over here, you can also choose on how often or for how long this IT automation profile will attempt to run on offline devices. So this will attempt to run every 60 minutes. If you choose 1 day, that's 24 hours, 24 times. If the device is still offline, the IT automation will not attempt again. I'd say 1 or 2 weeks is usually enough. So let's create a new profile. Test. And the way that it works is that there's 3 different ways to run the profile itself. You can either schedule an automation. So you add the time. I want this to run monthly, every first day of the month at 1 a.m., for example. And we'll save that schedule. You can choose to run now. So if you have, you can create a profile, assign it to all your devices, and then you can choose to run it now. Or you can run the profile on newly installed agents. Run the profile on newly installed agents is very helpful if you have new employees or new end users, and you can automate all the different patching or software that you want to add to this new employee, and that will run automatically the moment that you download the Atera agent. So the way that it's set up is that we have OS patch management. Over here, you can choose all of them, or if you would like to break those up, maybe you want to have your critical updates running every 2 weeks, your security updates, you can have that together. We recommend separating them. Also, this is easier for you to keep track, but again, whatever fits your needs best. So service packs, drivers and tools, and you can also choose to reboot if needed. We have a OS patch approval setting. So through here, especially if you're running a testing environment, which is something I know many of our customers do, and we highly recommend doing as well, you can choose to either always approve or you can postpone before auto approving up to 30 days. What this means, once the patch is available, it will not automatically update on the device. It will actually show up here for the next 30 days once the patch is available for the IT automation to run. And then you can choose if you want to approve or exclude that patch. The next thing is software patch management. We use Chocolatey for Windows and Homebrew for Mac, so it's very easy to update the software. All you need to do is update all. You can exclude software patches, of course, and you can actually create software bundles. So if you have your different departments or your different sites or your different customers that work with different softwares, you can actually add that right over here. So let's take Slack, for example. Maybe they're using Zoom. I'm just thinking of some of the common ones. So you can go ahead and create that. And you can save that, and then you can choose that from right over here. You have your different bundles. And that is attached to the IT automation profile. This is very helpful for what I mentioned previously for running the profile on newly installed agents. We have Windows upgrades, Windows 10 or 11, so you can choose any of those. Disk management, maintenance, you can have a separate profile for Reboot if you would like, and of course, scripts. This is where you can add, first of all, if you have a very specific software, I know sometimes dentists or accountants, they have very specific software that are not usually available, then you can add that with the script as an executable and add that to the IT automation profile. This is also a good time to mention that we're actually working on a private repository. So that will be hopefully available this quarter or the next quarter. And you can also add simple things like flush cache, things like that. And you can add that to your IT automation profiles to run either weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, or daily, whatever works for you. Okay, so we went through two profiles. The last profile that I want to show you is configuration policies. This one is specifically for Windows, and over here you have a little bit more control for restarts. This is for reboot if the device needs a reboot, and you have over here you can disable auto restart. You can specify outside hours, or one of our most common ones is sending a prompt. So if you want to give or allow your end users have a little bit more control over reboots and their devices, you can actually do that through here. You can have a prompt every 30 minutes, for example, force a restart after 3 times, and let's customize the message. Hi, just so you know, we need to reboot your device. You can also be the sole controller of Microsoft updates. So if you're using Atera's IT automation profiles, I highly recommend choosing this one right over there. This configuration policy you can apply either on customers or on folders or on agents. So it really depends. Okay, so we saw the 3 different profiles. I want to go back to the device page because we did take a look at the device itself, but you can actually have bulk actions either through the device page or through the customer. So you could, of course, do this through the customer under, let's take over here, we have our devices. So you can assign a threshold profile, IT automation profiles, help desk actions right over there, all these different options through here, which you have through your folders as well. However, if you want to work cross-site or cross-customer, you can actually do this through our device page. So our device page was recently updated, and you can actually drag these, you can move them around, you can build it to better match your needs. Through the device page itself, you can also remote into the devices. It's as easy as just pressing connect right over there. We can open that. And then you have also your manage options through here. Your manage options are a little bit more limited through here, through the device page. Hold on, let me just show you the Splashtop that opened up on my other screen, but you can see that now. So you can really play around with these. You also have your filters, so you can create different filters and then you can save those views. You can either save that as a shared view or as a private view if you're working with other technicians as well. And through here, once you added your filters and you have your different views, if you have different patching groups that you're working cross-site or customer, you can do that through here. You can run a script ad hoc. You can assign an IT automation profile. You can also install software. I have some SNMP devices here, but you can also install software. And you can also deploy add-ons. So if you are using our App Center, you can actually deploy add-ons through here as well. Okay, great. So we saw the three different profiles and how to apply them. And the next thing that I want to take a look at is some of our reports. Let's start with our classic reports. You have your systematic glance, customer health, agent health. I will show, let's start with the auditor. This one is very helpful, especially if you want to share with your end user or the site manager or the customer what's going on within their organization. You can schedule this report to send weekly or monthly, or you can export it, of course, Excel or PDF, depends on how graphic they are. And this will give an overview of what's going on within their organization. So software inventory, disk usage, Mac distribution, all of this over here, alert summary, and each device kind of has an overview through here. So the next report is we have a Microsoft licensing. Patch Search and Deploy is actually one of my favorites because not only will it show you which patches are installed, but this will actually show you which patches aren't installed. So you can choose, of course, for a specific KB or for a specific agent, and you can actually go ahead and push those patches through the report itself. But most importantly is that you can see which devices aren't covered within your IT automation profiles, and then you can build your IT automation profiles based on that to make sure all the devices are covered. Once you do have your IT automation profiles, what you want to do is check your patch and automation feedback. So let me just generate that. Excuse me, my success rate is not as high on my demo account, but usually this is where you would see if an action has failed. And then you can see maybe that device was offline for too long. If you have a script, you're going to see attached to the IT automation profile, you're going to see the output of the script in this report as well. And of course, you can schedule these. So if you have your IT automation profiles running Saturday in the morning, and then you have your reboot, you can schedule the patch and automation feedback report to the afternoon or evening. Let's see, and software inventory as well. This one is very helpful if you want to see which software is installed on which devices. Okay, so the next thing that we'll see, we have our classic reports and we have our advanced reports. So the classic reports are included with all tiers. The advanced reports are included with the second tier and up. On the second tier, you do have these over here. So these are the templates. You have, let's see, hardware inventory. For example, this is a great report that I know many are using, and this will give you an overview of the hardware. If you're on our second tier and up, we also have assets. So hardware will include anything that can be monitored with an Atera agent or via an Atera agent. And assets you can add, this would be keyboards, headphones, things like that, anything that you're keeping track of. So we also have a report for that. We have a ticket overview and more. If you are on our third tier and up, you can actually really get granular with the reports that you're looking for. So you can build a report. I'm just going to build a report for agent. We'll say we want the hardware, memory, model, motherboard, serial number. I'll just choose a few here. And you can run that report as well. There's different visualizations. So again, if this is something you want to show management, you can use these through the advanced reports. Okay, so this was a general overview of the Atera platform. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A. I'm trying to think if there is anything else that is important. Let me see. Okay, actually something that is very important. Okay, so this is one of our recent features that we just released, and this is currently available through the apologies. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Sorry, my headphones. Okay, so through the device page right over here, you actually have the ability to do manage. And if you go to command prompt, this is currently available from our device page. It will soon be available from the single devices page. From the single device page. So we're looking for different ways to make it easier for you to just do simple things. So for example, if you want to add a command, all you need to do is write show open ports and generate and enter, and that will show you all the different open ports. So I highly recommend using this as well. Okay, great. So let's take a look if we have any of Q&A. Let me just see this. Okay, so we have a question of how do I add an SNMP device? There's a few different ways to add an SNMP device. You can either manually add that through here. Let's add. You can add that through here. For us to see it as an SNMP device, it does need to have a public community string, and it does need to communicate with port 161. And I will mention that you can also add SNMP devices through a network discovery scan. So if you do have network discovery, this is an add-on per technician on an account level, and that will discover any SNMP devices. Let me see, maybe this one over here has, and that will discover any SNMP devices, and then you can add that to your Atera account. And this is also a good time to mention that we also have SNMP templates. So like we have the shared script library, we have an SNMP shared script library. And over here, we can take a look, for example, I know Synology is one that is used a lot. Let's take a look. So we can go ahead and see the different OIDs that we have right over here. And we're also, we're working on it at the moment. We're also looking to add an SNMP OID AI generator. So you're going to be able to just add your information of what device you want to monitor, and we're going to generate those OIDs for you. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions here. Can you set remote access so the user gets notified? So this you can do through settings. Let's see. So through admin, you go to settings right over here, and you have that through remote access. We have, so as I mentioned, you have Splashtop included with all tiers and AnyDesk included with the second tier and up. So currently we have this available with AnyDesk where you can choose attended, and then the user will get notified. And we are also adding this to Splashtop this coming quarter. I hope that is helpful. Oh, I also will mention that if in the meanwhile, until we release that feature for Splashtop, we also have it in the shared script library. There's also a script that will enable, that will have a pop-up. There, Splashtop requests permission to connect when, then allow connection if no response. Okay. Let's see. How can you check user activity? So this one, as I mentioned, you have the manage options through devices. So this is not available through the devices page, but if you go into the devices page, you can actually check that through manage. And over here you have user activity. And I will also mention that with file transfer, if you're on the second tier and up, you can also check the device logs as well. I hope this is helpful. Okay. Thank you, Mika. And we have one more question. Can I limit technicians? Are you referring to limiting them with access on the platform? If so, you can do that through admin. We do have roles and permissions. So if you have technicians that are maybe only working on PSA or only remote monitoring, you are able to actually create different roles and permissions within the platform. And what you can do is you can create a role over here, and then you can either give them full admin access, or you can choose to have just to manage contacts or RMM, and you can play around with that over there, and then you can assign those different roles and permission to different technicians. Of course, you do need to have one technician that has full admin access, and then they can limit those. Okay, great. So let me see. Okay, if we don't have any other questions coming in, I'm going to wait another minute or two. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask. Okay, I'll wait just one more minute in case there are any other questions. And then and I'll also mention if you have any follow-up questions, we have live chat 24/7 right through here. You can just go ahead and choose live chat. Our support engineers are amazing. They answer very quickly and they'll be happy to assist you with any technical question. If you have any feature related questions, then you can reach out to success@atera.com and we'll get back to you as well. And this is also a great time to mention that we also have a feature board. Sorry. Let me see where you can see the feature board right here. So we do have a feature board as well. So with the feature board, you can actually, if there's anything, if you have a feature request or something that isn't available within the platform now, but you believe would be very helpful, then we highly recommend adding it to our feature board. We do have over here different requests. For example, we have mobile device management is one of our highest requested features at the moment, and this is something that we're currently working on, as you see. So you can either add new ideas or upvote different ideas. This is how our product team can better plan our product roadmap. So if you have anything that you want to upvote or new ideas, feel free to share that right over there. And you can also access the feature board right through here. Um, Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any follow-ups, feel free to reach out to our support team. I will mention also that we have a mobile app, so I highly recommend testing that out as well. It's very helpful when you're on the go. You can remote into devices, you can deploy scripts. It's really, really helpful. We have 24/7 live chat, online knowledge base, and we also have available support in English, French, and German. Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this was helpful and I hope you have a wonderful day.